Hi, and welcome to the 2021 Captain's Meeting for Central Carolina. I am going to try to make this brief. Most of you already know me. My name is Janie Ebner. I'm the USTA Adult League Coordinator in the Central Carolina area, which is your Cary, Holly Springs, Apex, Morrisville, so forth and so on area. And we do a Captain's Meeting every year, and normally that is done with everyone present at McGregor Downs, but sadly we can't do that this year. So we're going to do it virtually. I've never done that before, so we're going to wing it. And like I said, I will try to make it brief. It's a slide presentation, so I'm not going to sit and read every slide for you. I know you all can do that, but if there is something I need to read to just expound on a little bit more, I'll do that. But I will try to keep it brief, and there'll be an agreement for you guys to sign at the end so that we know that everybody took a look at it and went through the captain's agreement. So here we go. So for 2020, we did a lot of things. Even though we were working through a pandemic, we still managed to get a lot of tennis on the courts, and a lot of programs still were able to run. Western Wake, which is WWTA, we did run a lot of programs, events, and we hope to be back to all these programs in 2021. So here's a list for you that we worked through, and you can always find any of these things on our website if you want to participate or even be a volunteer. Some of these things we need volunteers for, such as our Tennis for Life and our wheelchair program, which is amazing. Laura Wyant runs a lot of these programs, so you can always get in touch with her as well. We do have a board which serves us and is so amazing. These are our board members at this time. Our staff is also listed on here. We also have an advisory board that helps us out for each individual facility or area. And right now, we could actually use a board member to join us from Kildare Farms or from Cary Tennis Park. So if you are a longtime captain from either of these places and you might want to serve on our board, get in touch with me and we'll get you to the right place. Again, I'm not going to read through this for you, but these were some of the highlights that we did manage to eke out in 2020. We started out the year with the highest registration ever for our spring league in Central, and we were able to get back to that after the shutdown, with 85% of our teams returning and playing out the league after we redid all the schedules. We had some spring mixed. We did Tennis for Life, which is a free tennis program that for breast cancer survivors. We were able to do that and raise some money for that. We got our wheelchair tennis back up and running, and our beginner programs actually thrived. So that we still had over 300 participants for that. We offered a fall mixed league in the fall, which I just said, but in the fall, and we're hoping to make that an annual offering for everyone. And then some more donations still were able to go out for youth scholarships and Pretty in Pink and Tennis for Life. So all great things. We have a lot of good partners for us for this. So, obviously can't do it without them. Some updates coming to course. Some of these things were going to be done in 2020, but with everything that was going on, it was not going to happen, unfortunately. So Apex has 6 new courts coming. It's going to be called Pleasant Park, and that's hopefully by fall of 2021. Cary, Dunham Park, which we all played at, and Andy Jones are both going to have renovations starting soon. And these are big renovations. Dunham Park is going to go from 5 courts to 6. And Andy Jones will have those lights that we all love torn out and completely rebuilt. And then there also will be a new McCrimmon Park, which is going to have 6 courts. There's a renovation in Fuquay Arena at Action Park. And then some more things also in the works for Holly Springs and Morrisville. We send out newsletters for all of our participants. And the Western Wake Tennis newsletters go out monthly. I send the USTA e-blast, and those go out at the beginning of all league registration, and then periodically throughout the season or through the year as needed. And you can, if you find yourself not on either of those lists, you can go to our homepage of our website and sign up for those. Our website is the most important way to get any information about either Western Wake tennis or about USTA tennis, which is obviously what I run. I run all the leagues for USTA. To find anything about that, you would just click on the USTA leagues under the adult tennis tab on the site. And definitely also find us on Facebook and Twitter, especially. We do have an Instagram as well. But Facebook and Twitter, things will be repeated as far as like important information as well. So it's a good place to look for us. And, you know, if there's something big, we do try to put that out there on there as well. As far as how to get me, I can always be reached by emails. leagues@westernwaketennis.com is the best way to get me. I strive to answer my emails as quickly as possible, and just get back to you as soon as I can. Sometimes a weekend might go by, but other than that, usually within a day or so. Also, if you have questions during this, since we're not doing this live, please send me an email. I have no problem with that. If you went through this and you had a question afterward, I'm happy to answer that question. So email me and let me know. Well, we got to talk about this. 2020 was a weird year for everybody. We have a lot of the stuff is on our website. The website is listed above. And so, you know, like I said, I'm not going to read through these, but it's very important that we're still following these guidelines to keep tennis safe. You guys have done an amazing job keeping tennis safe. I have very, very, very few incidents at all, if almost at all, of any kind of problems coming from tennis. So continue to do this. Keep 6 feet apart from, you know, your opponents and your partners. If you guys aren't, well, living in the same household. Hand sanitizer. If you're in, and this is important, if you're in a facility and you're a guest there especially, please make sure you're wearing a mask in their pro shops or in their restrooms. We want to make sure these facilities can stay open. That was a big part of why we were able to run so much tennis last year, is because our facilities kept with us. And they just need to make sure that everybody's staying safe on their grounds. So again, wear your masks, and sometimes some of these facilities also would rather that we do not have spectators, or that spectators are congregating before or after a match. It's just a suggestion: paperless lineups. Use your phones. Use text messages. However you guys want to do that, but you know, you can do that. Everything can be done paperless these days. And obviously, don't come to matches if you're not feeling well or show symptoms. Everybody needs to get to the next tennis match. I will do a new captain's meeting this year. I'm going to figure out a way to do that. It will be virtual, but this meeting is more for anybody who hasn't been a captain before, and just has more general questions than what's going to be in this meeting. So we'll talk about Tennis Link, which can be very confusing when you're brand new, general captain's duties, responsibilities, rules and regs, which also can be very confusing when you're new, playoffs, etc., things like that. So I will reach out. I don't usually do it this way, but this year I will reach out to anyone that I recognize as a new captain, and we'll get this going within the next few weeks or so. Just a quick run through of what the duties are as a captain, and they are a lot. It is we appreciate you guys so much, because I've done it myself. It's a job. And keeping all these tennis players in order, making sure they get to their matches, sometimes can be a job. So I'm glad that y'all take it seriously, and we're happy to have you. But just a few things. We do have a captain's agreement for you guys to fill out, so it's just some things for you to take a look at. And I will have a link for that later on in this presentation. You need to make sure that you're paying your court fees and that your players are paying their court fees by February 15th. If you were from Apex, I sent you a waiver, and your players also need to fill that out. This is important too, and I think we forget this sometimes, but contact your opposing captain at least 2 days before every match. We should be reaching out to, and this is at every match, just a quick little email: hey, I'm so-and-so, we're playing this weekend, or on Thursday, just to let you know, this match will or will not be staggered, or if there's some kind of issue with the bathrooms, or what courts you might be on, if you know those things. So it's important to reach out to your captain, your opposing captain, before your match. You should have your scores entered after the match within 48 hours, and that is non-negotiable. That should absolutely be done. Either captain can enter those scores. I don't care if you won, if you lost. Someone agree to enter the scores and make sure that they're entered correctly. I've gotten more and more requests to change scores. So just, take an extra second and just make sure that you're putting the correct scores and the correct players in when you enter those. Because I'm not standing in front of you, I can have links in this presentation. So your rules and regs, there's a link there for you. I know it's boring reading, but take a look through. And obviously, if you have a question, you can always go to the rules and regs and take a look there. There's tons of information there, more than anyone needs, but very helpful. This is important as well. If you cannot play your match for some reason, you're going to rain that, well, maybe not rain it out, but you're not going to be able to play for some reason ahead of time, give your courts back to the facilities. They might still be able to use them. So that's important, and I know that we've got a lot of facilities ask us to please do that, but they're not seeing those courts used. And, I know in the past when we've all been at maybe, Cary Tennis Park and think, well, why are there empty courts here? Some of that is because people don't give the courts back that they've requested. And that could be either they place the order themselves because they have a membership there, or because they have a match that they're not playing and it just sits there. So, and that goes for any facility. Give your courts back if you're not playing. Makeup matches are always, it's always a tough situation, but try to get that on the schedule as absolutely soon as possible. You reach out to your opposing captain, even get it started. If you're rained out while you're standing there at a match, that happens, get it started before you even leave the courts. But if not, make sure you're reaching out quickly. Some more things. Let's see. So it is your responsibility, sort of, to make sure that you have players available to play in your matches. And the goal is to not have any line or team defaults. We want everybody to be able to play all the lines of their matches. If there's five courts being played in an 18-plus match, we want all those to be played. The other team would probably love to be able to play all the matches and have their players, get all the matches in for the season. Everybody pays to play, so getting something out to your players now when the schedule comes out is the best time. Here are our matches. When are you available? So, to have an organized system as to when your players are available, and making sure that you're reaching out to them, at least 7 days ahead before the match to make sure they can still play, or that you have players to play the matches. Another one I've been asked by facilities to make sure that we're doing is to start your matches on time. This is a big one. If your match is at 9:30 in the morning, that's when your match is supposed to start. Or, I'm sorry, I take that back. You should be doing your warm-up at 9:30. Most places you can't get on the court before that time. So you get on the court, and then you have a 5-minute warm-up, and the match should be started by around 9:35, 9:40. Obviously, we know if you've all read the rules and regs that there is a 15-minute grace period there. So at the latest, your matches should be started at 9:45. Staggered matches, we'll talk more about that later in the presentation, but they should be there no later than 1 hour. If your match is at 4 p.m., the staggered line or lines, those people should arrive no later than 5 o'clock. And if they aren't there, not at 5:05, not at 5:10, that could be considered a default. So, and there's no leeway there. I mean, they had an hour before that to get there. So, score corrections, I had mentioned that. So, and there is a jot form there, since I can put that in here. If you do enter your score incorrectly, have it corrected. I will correct it for you using that jot form. Important rules for 2021 that have changed from previous years. We did make the decision to go with the national format for 40 plus. I've already sent emails out about this, but just as a reminder, the 40 plus format will go to 4 courts. So in those 4 courts, you're going to play 3 doubles and 1 single. And this is for all 40 plus, men, women, 40 plus, except for 40 plus 2-5. 40 plus 2-5 will continue with 3 lines of doubles. They did do away with the plus league at 40 plus. So 40 plus, 4-5 plus has now become just 40 plus 4-5, meaning basically that a 5-0 player may not play on the 40 plus 4-5 teams. They will have 5-0 leagues, and open divisions for 5-0 and higher players. This one actually was a rule from last year, but I want to throw a reminder in about this. If you have an 18 plus player, if you have an 18-year-old, the player must be 18 years old at the time they register for the team. So the system will know. And with the 18 plus normally, or as long as you turn 40 within that year, you can play on that team. Same with 55 plus. If you turn 55 anytime in that calendar year, you can play on a 55 plus team. The only exception here would be for 18. If they're 17 at the time February 15th rolls around, they're not turning 18 yet, they may not play on that team. And this has to do with just the idea of a minor being on the team. So important, and this is the way it's got to be. We did make a slight change. All weekday matches will begin at 9:30 instead of 9:45, which is what they've been in the past. Exception there would be Kildare Farms. Kildare Farm has to start at 10 a.m. So you'll see that on your schedules too. The facilities have done some really great jobs trying to come up with different things so that we can see which courts are being used. The town of Cary has QR codes, which you can use on your phone's camera to tell you which courts are available there or which courts are being used. So it basically takes you to what court you'd be using for town of Cary. The point of this is to make sure to not take your court before your match time. As of right now, a lot of the courts aren't reserved, so people can walk up, and they have every right to be there. If your match is at 4 p.m., they have every right to be there until 4 p.m. So just make sure that you're not asking people to leave a court so that you can warm up, because your warm-up doesn't start till 4 o'clock. And this goes for other facilities as well. So staggered matches, just as in the past, all town of Cary matches will be staggered if they are 4 or 5 courts. The exception to this is if it's an evening match. So if your match is at 7 o'clock or 7:30, either during the week or on Sundays, because we do have Sunday matches that are at 7, those matches will all play at the same time. So if it's a 4-court match or a 5-court match, all of those courts will play at that time. Any other town of Cary match will have the stagger, which means 3 courts play, and then either the last one or the last 2 will play an hour later if the court is available. And the same goes for Club at Sunset. All of their matches are also staggered. Other facilities may have this as well. Those facilities should be reaching out to their opposing captain to make sure the opposing captain knows that those courts will or will not be staggered. And the rule for this is for 18 plus, you'll start with your number 1 singles, your number 1 doubles, number 2 doubles. So there's your 3 courts. And then at the second time slots, you'll have your number 2 singles and your number 3 doubles. That's how that will go. For 40 plus, you'll have your number 1 singles, number 1 and number 2 doubles. And then for 40 plus, we just have the 1 line left, so it's the number 3 doubles. And that's how those should all play, unless there is a default, or unless both captains agreed to start the singles first and then the doubles. The captain should agree to a change, though. And again, 1 hour. They should arrive 1 hour. I know sometimes those courts are not available at 1 hour, but many times they are very close to that. So the players should be there. So schedules. By now you know your schedules are out and you've seen them. So make sure you're taking a look at those. And if you see any issue with them, be sure to let me know. But throughout the season, Easter is on April 4th. We didn't schedule that weekend at all. Spring break comes right before that, and we did the best we could to not schedule too many matches during that time period, but sometimes there's nothing we can do. There's only so many weeks to play, and we want to make sure that you guys get as many matches as possible. So if for some reason your flight has 10 matches in it, you might be playing that week. We do have a accommodation for that, so you may schedule 2 courts of either the 5 or the 4 as a rain out, only if you don't have enough players. You don't have to rain out the whole thing, because obviously you can't. So if there was a 5-court match, you would play 3 of them. You have to play 3 on that day, and then you can rain out the other 2 and make them up as a makeup match. And please let your opposing captain know this at least a week ahead of time. You need to let them know that so that they don't have players making sure that they can be available and then only to find out the day before that they're not needed. You can always play early if your facility will allow it. I can tell you right now that Town of Cary does not let matches be scheduled early. It's just not the way they can do things there. Occasionally we have to use a weeknight for weekend matches, again, just to make sure that we're getting in all the matches that you are to need to get, and just, for court availability in general. Those are the reasons. So make sure when you're checking your schedule that you see a date that is not on your normal day. That's the reason why. Round robins. There was a change this year in the rules. We are now we have to play one full round robin, and the second one doesn't necessarily have to be a full round robin. What we've done is just for 17 flights only, and this is a lot to explain, but if you've been around long enough to know that if you have a flight of 7 teams, you're going to get 6 matches, which is not very many, and we hate doing that. So we were happy to see this change, and we're going to use it only for times that we have a 7-team flight, and we would have had to give 6 matches. So at this point now we will give 8, and so randomly you will play another 2 matches against another 2 teams in your flight, and I am literally pulling them out of a hat so that it's not it doesn't, at the end of the season you're not like, well, why did I have to play this team? Or it's going to be completely random, just to make sure that you get more matches, and all the money worth the tennis. As far as, again, with rainouts, if you are going to be playing at a state, sectional, or national championship, hopefully we get to have those this year. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Please try to play as many lines as you possibly can. And this also goes for if you're working in a state championships. And I do want to make sure we understand that, because Durham will have a state championship. The 40 plus will be played in Durham. So if you end up working at that or volunteering, it's the same goes, that counts as having a player not be available for your match. Again, please try to play as many lines as you can and just rain out the ones that you have to. But if you have 4 players at a state, sectional, national championship, you can rain out your match. The caveat to that is that the match has to be made up within 2 weeks. And this is a USTA rule. It's not a Western Wake rule. It has to be made up within 2 weeks. The 4 weeks is our rule, but the 2 weeks we have to stick to. Makeup matches, they're always difficult. It's always, it's hard to get everybody together to make sure we do a makeup match, but it's important. And this is sometimes where the captain comes in and is needed to get things squared away. And you have 4 weeks. That has not changed, and that is from the original date and time of the originally scheduled match. But if it's rained out and you try to play it a week later, it doesn't restart. It goes back again to that original 4 weeks. You set a new date and time, and you make an attempt to play it again. You should always be contacting your opposing captain to get this set up within 2 days, because I know if it goes longer than that, it just sits. So make sure you're doing that. And then if after 10 days there's no plan and no one can get something together, feel free to contact me. I will facilitate it if need be. But yeah, these matches aren't made up within 4 weeks. They're considered a default. So we want to make sure that that's getting taken care of. I'm also happy to exchange a lineup for you, and the form is down here at the bottom. And each captain sends in one of those forms, and then what I can do is just send the lineups out to you so that they stay, that neither captain knows what the lineup is ahead of time. And there's lots of ways to try to schedule makeup matches. Obviously polling your players is a good way, and then sending your opposing captain, here's a date, I have all these players that can play on this date, or all these, this amount of players that can play on this date. So there's different ways to go about that and to get it set up. And again, don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions on how to do that, or what might work a little better. Obviously, the reasons to play a makeup match late would be mostly is going to be weather, and that's going to be the reason most of the time, by either weather or the temperature too. We also obviously have a temperature rule of in the summer of 100 degrees, or in the winter of feels like 35 degrees, and either one of those is a feels like, by the way. And all of that is in our rules and regs. If you know you cannot play for some reason, you're going to be at states, you're going to be at sectionals, something like that, you should contact you have to contact your opposing captain 7 days ahead and let them know, listen, I have 6 players at states, there's no way I'm going to play this match, just want you to know that now. Team defaults. The goal here is to not have any of these. It really puts a damper on the whole flight when these kind of things happen. So we want to play as many lines as absolutely possible. I mean, things happen. I mean, obviously, somebody is sick that morning and you can't get a replacement. Stuff like that happens. But a team default is a little different. So a team default is defined as like when a team cannot field enough lines to actually win a match. Meaning, if you have a 5-court match, if you have to default 3 of those lines, it's not possible to win the match. If for some reason you have to default 2 of them and you play 3 of those lines, then as from what I just said, you'd still have a chance to win that match. So that makes it an actual match. But if you for some reason couldn't play 3 of the 5 of your lines, the match is considered a full team default at that point. And the way we do this, and you can read this for yourself, but 1 team default has some consequences as far as the standings go. 2 team defaults, on the other hand, it automatically removes you from the flight. Matches played then do not count for NTRP ratings for players or any kind of advancement. And also, a grievance may be filed against your team. So if we find out that you just decided, I don't want to play anymore, and you just feel like not playing your matches, then I might be forced to file a grievance. So just want to put that out there. Let's try not to do that. Again, I'm not going to run through all this, but these are our facilities. We love our facilities. They are some of the best around, and we have had some of the best around. And some of these facilities have won awards for being some of the best facilities around. Take good care of them, and because they take care of you. I'm going to run through these quick. Starting with the town of Cary is a very, very big facility in North Carolina, Cary Tennis Park, and all the facilities that go with it. So make sure you're taking care of your town of Cary facility fees before your first match. That is a rule. We can default you a match if you have not paid your fees to the town of Cary and then you go and play in a match. So make sure you're taking care of that. And you all would have gotten this from your captain, but right there is right here is the online registration form. Please remember again to give back all your unused courts. And as of last year, the end of last year, they started doing their makeup matches are scheduled through a JOT form, which is awesome and super helpful. So when you know you'd like to use a court for a makeup match through the town of Cary, you send them the JOT form and they'll let you know if these are available. They'll get back to you and let you know. Monday through Friday. They work Monday through Friday. So keep that in mind. And on weekends, you can always try giving them a call. This is the email address for the contact at Town of Cary. It's a long one, but there it is. And you would want to use that if you had any questions about fees paid to Town of Cary or the court situations, or even if you were at a court and you noticed that some of the lights were out. Please, they want to know that. Sometimes they can't fix those things if they don't know that they're broken, if the nets are down. So if you think about it, make a little mental note, and then when you get back to a computer, send them an email and let them know that, something's not working right. And as I mentioned, you can't schedule matches early with Town of Cary, and we all know that they have those beautiful covered courts over there, which you can use and schedule, but we do not pay for that. That is not included in your league fees. So if you choose to use those for a league match, you'd have to pay the regular rates for that. And then most importantly, to know where your match is going to be played, if you are a Town of Cary team or you're playing against a Town of Cary team, you can always check this website and it will give you it's the program status. So it gives you what's being played. Usually it's 1 or 2 days out. It'll tell you if you have a match on Saturday, check it Thursday or Friday, and it will let you know exactly where you're playing. Holly Springs, make sure you're taking care of your court fees. You guys should all have had that. Probably by the time you see this, you'll probably have all of those. They'll send you an invoice, and then the makeup matches are scheduled also a little bit differently, and so that is right here for you too. And all the Town of Holly Springs captains have already gotten this, but just as a reminder. We don't have any teams in Morrisville for spring, but our Apex teams, make sure you're paying your fees, of course, too, and getting that waiver out to your players. Your makeup matches are scheduled through Carl Lyon. He is the contact for Apex, and I'll make sure that you have that information within the next couple of days. And then these are the rest of our facilities in the area. So Club at Sunset, like I said, their matches are staggered if they're a 4 or 5 court match. Obviously, and I didn't mention this earlier, if you have a 3 court match, so your 55 plus matches, your 2.5 matches, those matches all play at one time, of course. Kildare has a little bit of some different things with their scheduling. Their morning matches have to start at 10 a.m. If you are a Kildare Farms captain, please make sure that your opposing captains know these things. They, just to maybe remind them if you're sending them that email, just a quick reminder, our matches start at 10, not 9:30. So, and the same with the weekend matches. Even if you had your times are 9 or 12, the weekend matches can't start before 4. So you'll see that on your schedule. Prestonwood, just keep in mind that they have 2 locations. Most of their matches will all be at Prestonwood, Maine, which we've all been to. But they do have a Parkway location. So Prestonwood captains, if you know your match is going to be held at the Parkway location, just make sure and let your opposing captain know that, because there's no way they would know ahead of time. McGregor, not much to talk about there. They also occasionally may have to stagger a match. I don't think any of their matches will be staggered for the spring. But again, if you're a captain and you find that out, please let your opposing captain know. Playoffs. Don't have those determined yet as far as dates go. We have it narrowed down, but we have to still work on that. We get the schedule done first, and then we work on the playoffs. And just so you understand how and when or why who would be in a playoff. Our playoffs are held for any level that has 2 or more flights. So if there is a 3-5 women's team that has a weekday team and that has a weekend team, they will have a playoff. We actually have a couple of men's flights this year that are going to have playoffs. So I think it's the 3-5 men. There are 2 flights of 3-5 men. They will have a playoff. The only other way there would be a playoff, and we don't actually have any of these for spring this year, is if there was a flight that had 10 or more teams. Then we would do a playoff as well, but we don't have any of those this year. And then you can, when the playoff schedule is posted, we will put it all over social media, so you'll see it there, and then also it will be on the website. And on the website, you'll find it on our message board and on the spring schedule on the calendar. It'll be on there. We're looking at the weekend from May 22nd and 23rd, which is a Saturday and Sunday, of the bulk of our playoffs. But we will use some times during the week and the following week between 5/14 and 5/26 to make sure we get those all in. There's quite a few of them. But if you are a daytime team who has to play another daytime team, which does happen because we have some flights that have 2 flights in the morning and then a flight on the weekend, they would play still, of course, during the week in the morning. As we've done the last couple of years, we are working to secure covered courts for all the playoff matches. And that is, we take the expense on that, but we're still working on getting that done. There'll be more information about that when we get the playoff schedule set. This rule changed last year, and I'll make sure just to reiterate it again. If you're going to play in a playoff match at the end of the season, you have to have played the number of matches that you are required to play to go to states, because the playoffs are now considered part of the state championships. So for spring, that requirement is 2 matches. So you would have had to have played 2 regular season matches to be able to be eligible to play in a playoff match. One of those matches, and this is all in the rules and regs, but one of those matches can also have been because you received a default from another team. So it's one required playing match and then one can be a default. They can't both be defaults, but one of them can be. If you have questions about that, feel free to email me, but it's all in the rules and regs as well. I'll let you read this for yourself, but we all know that anything can change. If anything we've seen from 2020 is that you think things are all fixed and ready to go, and the next thing you know, the whole state's shutting down. I can tell you that North Carolina Tennis is and above are trying to figure out everything they could possibly do. I mean, they're writing a whole new way to try to do this. So bear with them, and they are doing everything they can to come up with a way to do state championships safely this year. So, but if the effort does not work out for some reason, and the state says that's not going to work out, they are going to make local play and the state championships the priority, even if for some reason national or sectional for some reason could not be played. That's still going to be a priority. We're getting toward the end here. I just want to keep that so you guys know we're getting toward the end. I'm going to stop talking soon, but these guys are important. I change this out about every year and a half or every year or so. We might keep these guys a little bit longer since 2020 was practically a useless year in some ways. But these are our adult league committee members, and we get together a couple times a year, and they just help me talk through things, like what the league is thinking, what the players are thinking, what the captains might have concerns about, and to also help us make decisions on things if we're going to make changes. And so these are your adult league committee members that we have on right now. I will look to change this probably mid-year of 2021. So if you'd be interested in serving on our adult league committee, please email me. Again, so I mentioned the captain's agreement earlier. So to prove to me that you've listened to my voice for the last, I don't even know how long, I would need you to fill out the captain's agreement. There's a link here. You're going to get a link in your email. There's going to be lots of links to this captain's agreement. I need you to look at it, and so that I know that you heard this. Oh, this information is important. I want to make sure our captains have it. So we are going to pull. You know how we love our drawings. If you've been to one of our captain's meetings in the past, we're gonna we have 2 gift cards for bricks that we'll pull out randomly from the agreements that we get, and I'll email you if you win that. But yeah, please make sure you go to this link and take care of that captain's agreement. So anyway, that's our 2021 captain's meeting done virtually. I will work on that new captain's meeting and get an email out to you new captains. As I always say at the end of all of my captain's meetings, please be nice to each other. We have some of the best tennis players around. We can't do it without our captains. So it's very, very important that you guys all get along, and you're making sure that tennis is still fun, because let's be honest, it's supposed to be fun. So thanks again. Thank you for being captain. Your players, thank you. I know they do, because they don't want to do it, so they're glad that you are. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. Have a great year, and have fun, and stay safe. Thanks.